The gallery's pristine walls mocked me with their perfection, each carefully hung piece of my siblings' artwork, a reminder of everything I hadn't achieved. I stood in the corner, clutching my wine glass like a shield, watching my mother fawn over Skylar's latest masterpiece. I'm Marley, and tonight was supposed to be my breakthrough moment. Instead, I was relegated to spectator at my siblings' third solo exhibition this year. The depth of emotion in this piece is extraordinary, my mother gushed to a cluster of art critics. Skylar has always had such natural talent. The wine turned bitter in my mouth. Natural talent. As if the last 15 years of my dedication to art meant nothing. My daughter Riley tugged at my sleeve, her 7-year-old face scrunched in confusion. "Mama, why does Grandma never talk about your paintings like that?" Before I could answer, my partner Chloe appeared, wrapping an arm around Riley's shoulders. "Hey, sweetie, I think I saw some fancy cookies by the entrance. Want to check them out?" I shot Chloe a grateful look as she led our daughter away. The crowd shifted, creating a pocket of space near one of Skylar's larger pieces, an abstract explosion of reds and golds that probably had some profound meaning I was supposed to understand. "It's derivative," a familiar voice muttered beside me. My friend Everly materialized, wearing a black dress that screamed rebellion against the gallery's understated dress code. "Seriously, I've seen better composition in a kindergarten finger painting class." "Keep your voice down," I whispered, though her words soothed my bruised ego. "The last thing I need is—" "Did you see the write-up in Art Weekly?" My brother-in-law Jason's voice carried from behind a nearby sculpture. I froze, recognizing my mother's responding murmur. "Yes, they're calling Skylar the voice of our generation," my mother said. "Such a relief after. Well, you know how worried we were when both our children wanted to pursue art. Thank goodness one of them had the talent to succeed." The wine glass trembled in my hand. Everly grabbed my arm, but I shook her off, moving closer to hear more. "Marley's still doing those little cafe shows, right?" Jason asked. "At least she has Chloe to support her. Not everyone's cut out for real success in this world." Something hot and ugly unfurled in my chest. I stepped around the sculpture, ready to confront them, when my heel caught on something. A cream-colored envelope lay half-hidden under the installation's base. I snatched it up, my name written across the front in familiar handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper, an email printout dated 3 years ago, when I'd been shortlisted for the Carlton Prize. "Regarding your inquiry about Marley's submission," the email read, "You're right, her technical skills are questionable. Thank you for bringing these concerns to our attention. We'll be removing her from consideration." The signature belonged to the prize committee chair, but the email was addressed to my sibling. My hand shook as I read it again. 3 years ago, that prize could have launched my career. Instead, I'd received a form rejection letter, leading to months of self-doubt that nearly made me quit painting altogether. "Marley," Skylar's voice cut through my thoughts. My sibling stood before me, champagne glass raised in false celebration. "You look pale. Not feeling well?" I met Skylar's eyes, seeing for the first time the calculation behind the concern. How many other opportunities had been quietly sabotaged? How many doors closed before I could even reach them? "I'm fine," I said, folding the paper carefully and slipping it into my pocket. "Just admiring your work. It must be nice, having everything come so naturally." Skylar's smile flickered for just a moment, enough to confirm what I now knew. This wasn't just about talent or success. This was about systematic destruction, wrapped in family loyalty and tied with ribbons of concern. Well, 2 could play at that game, and I had nothing left to lose. The email burned in my pocket throughout the mandatory family dinner the following evening. My mother had insisted we all gather to celebrate Skylar's success, as if the gallery opening hadn't been enough. I pushed my food around the plate while my mother detailed every compliment the critics had given my siblings' work. Chloe's empty chair beside me felt like an accusation. Another late night at the office with Jeremiah. "And the way you captured the interplay of light and shadow," my mother continued. "It reminds me of that phase Marley went through in college. Remember those dark, moody pieces? They weren't a phase, I said, gripping my fork tighter. That's still my style. Oh, my mother's dismissal came wrapped in a delicate sip of wine. I thought you'd moved past that. Riley, coloring beside me at the table, looked up from her drawing. I like Mama's dark pictures. They make me feel things. That's sweet, dear, my mother said. But you should see what your Aunt Schuyler painted at your age. Pure talent, even then. My father cleared his throat. The pot roast is excellent, Olivia. Speaking of talent, Jason cut in. Schuyler, tell them about the commission you just landed. The one for the new medical center. The fork bent slightly in my hand. That commission was supposed to be confidential. I'd applied for it last month. Oh, it's nothing special, my sibling said with practiced modesty. Just a series of pieces for their pediatric wing. Nothing special, my mother beamed. It's the largest commission in the city this year. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. Riley, time to pack up your crayons. But Mama, I want to show everyone my drawing of Aunt Schuyler's painting. Show them, sweetheart, Schuyler encouraged. I'd love to see your interpretation. Riley held up her paper proudly. See? It's the big red one from the gallery. And look what I found hidden in it. My breath caught as Riley pointed to a series of marks in her drawing. Similar marks I'd seen in Schuyler's actual painting, but hadn't paid attention to before. What do you mean, hidden? I asked carefully. The little numbers. They're tucked into all the swirly parts, like a secret code. I counted 7 of them. Schuyler's champagne glass clattered against the table. Such an active imagination, my sibling said quickly. Kids see patterns everywhere. But I'd seen the flash of panic in Schuyler's eyes. Those numbers meant something. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. Sorry, Jeremiah needs me to stay late again. Don't wait up. Everything okay? My father asked. Noticing my expression. Perfect, I lied, helping Riley gather her art supplies. We need to get home. School night. But you've barely touched your food, my mother protested. And Schuyler was going to share some exciting news about. I'm sure I'll hear all about Schuyler's latest triumph eventually. The bitterness slipped out before I could stop it. It's not like anyone in this family talks about anything else. Silence fell over the table. My father studied his plate while Jason wrapped a protective arm around Schuyler's shoulders. Marley. My mother's voice carried that familiar note of disappointment. There's no need for jealousy. Everyone finds their level eventually. Right. I grabbed my coat, helping Riley into hers. And I suppose Schuyler found theirs by sabotaging everyone else's chances. What are you implying? Schuyler stood, facade cracking slightly. Nothing. Yet. I met my sibling's gaze. But maybe we should talk about the Carlton Prize sometime. Or those mysterious numbers Riley noticed in your painting. Mama, Riley tugged at my sleeve. Why is everyone mad? We're not mad, sweetie, Schuyler said, voice honey sweet. Your mother's just tired. Making art can be so draining when it doesn't come naturally. I guided Riley toward the door, pausing only to say, you know what else is draining? Maintaining lies. But don't worry, sibling dear. I'm about to make things much easier for you. As we left, I heard my mother asking Schuyler what I'd meant about the Carlton Prize, but I was already plotting my next move. Those numbers in the painting weren't random. They were dates, and I had a feeling they'd lead me to every opportunity Schuyler had stolen from me. 7 dates, Everly said, spreading printouts across my studio floor. 7 rejections. 7 opportunities that went to Schuyler instead of you. The morning light caught dust motes dancing around my easel, where a half-finished canvas waited. I hadn't touched it since discovering the email. Look at this one. Everly pointed to a grant rejection from last spring. The timing matches the 3rd number Riley found in the painting. And guess who was on the selection committee? Let me guess. Someone Schuyler knows. Better, someone our mother knows. Everly's dark eyes flashed. The committee chair plays tennis with her every Sunday. I pressed my palms against my temples. That doesn't prove anything. No? Then explain this. She held up her phone, showing a social media post from 2 years ago. My mother, the committee chair, and Skylar at some charity event. The date matched another rejection letter. My phone buzzed. Chloe. Working late again. Jeremiah needs the quarterly reports tonight. Still no Chloe? Everly asked, noting my expression. She's barely been home this week. I tossed the phone aside. Jeremiah's got her working impossible hours. Convenient timing, don't you think? Right when you're closest to exposing. A knock at the studio door cut her off. My childhood friend Marcus stood there looking uncomfortable. Sorry to interrupt, he said. Door was open downstairs. Marcus. I hadn't seen him in months. What are you doing here? He shifted, not quite meeting my eyes. Heard about the gallery opening and the dinner after. Thought you might need a friend. How did you hear about the dinner? Everly asked sharply. I ran into Skylar yesterday. The air seemed to thicken. You saw my sibling? At the art supplies store. Marcus stepped inside, closing the door. Look, they're worried about you, Marley. Said you've been making accusations. They sent you to spy on me. Bapaying. The betrayal tasted metallic. No, I mean, they mentioned you seemed unstable lately. Unstable. I grabbed one of the rejection letters. Is that what they call discovering years of sabotage? They said you might say something like that. Marcus glanced at the papers scattered across the floor. Come on, Marley. You really think Skylar orchestrated some grand conspiracy? Maybe you're just... If you say jealous, I swear I'll throw you out myself, Everly interrupted. I was going to say struggling. Marcus held up his hands. It's okay to admit when you need help. Skylar mentioned they know a great therapist. Get out. My voice shook. And tell my sibling that if they want to check on me, they can do it themselves instead of sending flying monkeys. After Marcus left, Everly helped me gather the evidence we'd collected. You realize what this means, right? Skylar's scared. They're trying to discredit you before you can expose them. By making me look paranoid. I stared at the numbers Riley had copied from the painting. But they made a mistake hiding these dates in their work. Pride or something else. Speaking of pride, Everly pulled up another social media post. Look who just announced their upcoming solo show at the Hamilton Gallery. My stomach dropped. The Hamilton Gallery had been my dream venue since art school. I'd submitted portfolios every year for a decade. 3 weeks from now, I read aloud. With special guest speaker, Jeremiah Walsh, Chloe's boss, Everly frowned. That can't be coincidence. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Your sibling isn't who you think they are. Meet me at Andrew's studio tomorrow morning if you want proof. Marcus? Everly asked, reading over my shoulder. No, I said slowly. I think it's from my old mentor, but why now? Could be a trap. Or it could be the evidence we need. I looked at my half-finished canvas, then at the dates that marked each stolen opportunity. Either way, I'm done letting Skylar write my story. What are you going to do? I picked up a brush, finally ready to paint again. I'm going to turn their own technique against them. If Skylar can hide messages in their art, so can I. And my exhibition is going to tell the truth about every single one of those 7 dates. Marley? Everly's voice held a warning. Be careful. You're playing with fire. Good, I said, making the first bold stroke across the canvas. It's about time someone got burned. Andrew's studio smelled of turpentine and stale coffee, just as it had during my student days. My old mentor hunched over his workbench, looking smaller than I remembered. I wondered when you'd finally figure it out, he said without turning around. Took you long enough. You knew? The betrayal felt like acid in my throat. All this time you knew what Skylar was doing? Knew? He laughed, a hollow sound. Kid, I was part of it. He pushed a folder across the workbench. Inside were emails, dozens of them, spanning years. My hands shook as I read exchanges between Andrew, Skylar, and various gallery owners, competition judges, grant committees. Why? I managed to ask. Your sibling made me an offer, said they'd fund my retirement, get my work into major collections. He finally turned to face me. I was tired of being the forgotten genius, watching younger artists pass me by. So you helped destroy my career instead. I wrote the recommendations they needed, made the right calls. It wasn't personal. Wasn't personal? I slammed the folder down. You were like a father to me. And look how well that turned out for your real father. Andrew's words hit like a slap. Francis always favored you, didn't he? Maybe Skylar deserved their turn. And my phone buzzed. Chloe again. I ignored it. There's more, Andrew said. About your partner's boss, Jeremiah. He's not just keeping Chloe busy with work. What do you mean? They're planning something. The Hamilton Gallery show isn't just about Skylar's art. He pulled out another document. Look at the investor list. Jeremiah's name was there, along with several shell companies I didn't recognize. But one name made my blood freeze. Chloe's. She's been investing in Skylar's work for months, Andrew said, through Jeremiah's art investment firm. The studio door creaked. I spun around to find Chloe standing there, her face pale. I can explain, she said. How long? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. How long have you been working with them? It's not what you think. Chloe stepped closer. Jeremiah showed me the numbers. Skylar's work is appreciating faster than any other artist in the region. I was trying to secure our future, build something for Riley. By backing the person who's been systematically destroying my career? I didn't know about that part, not until recently. She reached for me, but I stepped back. When I found out, I started gathering evidence. That's why I've been working late. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? I gestured at Andrew's folder. By secretly investing in my siblings' success while I struggled. By watching me doubt myself year after year. There's still time to fix this, Andrew interrupted. The Hamilton show. If certain things came to light, if the right people started asking questions, you want to help now? I laughed bitterly. After years of sabotage, I want to make things right. He pulled out a USB drive. Everything's here, the emails, the doctored recommendations, the financial records, including Jeremiah's less-than-legal art investment schemes. My phone buzzed again. A text from Everly. Where are you? Skylar's here at your studio with your mother. They're going through your new work. I have to go. I grabbed the USB drive and folder. My siblings about to get a preview of their own exposure. Marley, wait! Chloe called after me. You don't understand what they're capable of. No, I turned back one last time. You don't understand what I'm capable of. And neither does Skylar. I left them both there, my mentor and my partner. 2 more betrayals to add to the growing list. But their duplicity had given me something valuable. Proof. Now I just had to reach my studio before Skylar destroyed the paintings that would reveal everything. As I drove, my phone kept buzzing. Messages from my mother, from Skylar, from Chloe. I ignored them all. Let them worry. Let them wonder what I would do next. They'd all underestimated me for years. Time to show them exactly what that mistake would cost them. I burst into my studio to find Skylar holding one of my new canvases, the one with the hidden dates woven into abstract shadows. My mother stood nearby, frowning at the dark imagery. These are different, my mother said, more angry than usual. Put it down. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I'm trying to understand, Skylar said, not releasing the canvas. What exactly are you hoping to accomplish with these? Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing about sabotaging my career. I pulled out Andrew's folder. Want to explain these emails? Or should we start with Jeremiah's investment scheme? My mother stepped forward. What are you talking about? Show her, Everly said from the doorway. Show them both. I spread the documents across my workbench. Emails, recommendations, financial records, a paper trail of betrayal. My mother's face paled as she read. This can't be right, she whispered. Can't it? I pointed to specific dates. Every rejection, every missed opportunity, all orchestrated by your perfect child. You're misinterpreting things, Skylar said, but their hands trembled slightly. These were business decisions, nothing more. Business? I laughed. Like having Andrew tank my recommendations. Like having Chloe invest in your work behind my back. My mother's head snapped up. Chloe's involved. Everyone's involved, Mother. Everyone except you and Dad, though I'm sure you'll find a way to justify it all. That's enough. Skylar set down the canvas. You're spinning conspiracy theories because you can't accept that I'm not as talented as you. I grabbed my phone, pulling up photos of Skylar's painting. Explain the numbers then. The dates hidden in your masterpiece. Quite a coincidence they match every major setback in my career. Silence fell. My mother looked between us, her carefully maintained worldview cracking. I did what I had to do, Skylar finally said. You were always Dad's favorite, always the special one. Even when you failed, he believed in you more than me. So you destroyed my career to punish Dad. I earned my success. Skylar's composure shattered. Every sabotaged application, every manipulated judgment, it proved I could beat you on any playing field. Even with your raw talent, I won. My mother sank into a chair. How could you? How could I? Skylar whirled on her. You taught me. Always pushing, always comparing. Why can't you paint like your sibling? Why aren't you as creative? Until I found a way to win your approval instead. By cheating, I said quietly. By stealing opportunities from others. How many artists did you destroy besides me? A new voice answered from the door. Too many. My father stood there holding a manila envelope. I've suspected for years but couldn't prove it. Until now, then. Dad? Skylar's voice wavered. What do you mean? I've been gathering evidence, he said. Working with gallery owners, other artists, building a case. He handed me the envelope. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, Marley. I wanted proof first. Inside were more documents, a pattern of manipulation stretching beyond just my career. Dozens of artists, countless competitions, all corrupted by Skylar's schemes. The Hamilton Gallery show, my father continued. It's built on fraud, and now we can prove it. You can't do this, Skylar whispered. My reputation. Your reputation. My mother stood. You destroyed lives, used our connections, our trust. I did it for you, Skylar shouted. Everything I did was to be worthy of what? I asked. Their love? Their pride? Look what it cost you. Look what it cost everyone. My phone buzzed. Chloe again. But another message caught my eye. An email from Howard, the gallery owner I'd always seen as a rival. Subject line. Let's talk about your siblings' show. I looked at my family, my shattered mother, my quietly determined father, my desperate sibling, and made a decision. The Hamilton show opens in 2 weeks, I said. Just enough time to prepare my own exhibition, one that tells the real story. Marley, my father warned, be careful, revenge can. This isn't about revenge anymore. I picked up my paint-stained brush. It's about justice. For everyone they've hurt. I met Skylar's eyes. You taught me how to hide messages in art. Time to show you what else I've learned. Howard's gallery felt different at night, the empty halls amplifying every footstep. He studied my proposal under the harsh track lighting, his expression unreadable. A counter-exhibition, he said finally, opening the same night as your siblings' show. With proof of every manipulation, every stolen opportunity. I spread the evidence across his desk. Not just mine, everyone's. Bold move. He tapped the documents. Also, career suicide if you're wrong. I'm not wrong. No, he agreed. You're not, but there's something you don't know. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. I'd been ignoring his calls since our confrontation at Andrew's studio. Jeremiah isn't just Chloe's boss, Howard continued. He's been buying up smaller galleries. Bob's bought diaries, including mine. By next way, he'll own controlling interest in half the exhibition spaces in the city. The implications hit hard. He's working with Skylar. Smart girl. Why do you think your siblings' show is happening here? My carefully constructed plan crumbled. Without a venue, without a platform. There's more, Howard said. Check your email. A message from the Art Board's Ethics Committee appeared on my phone. My hands shook as I read, investigation into allegations of plagiarism and fraud against me. Skylar filed the complaint this morning with evidence. What evidence? I've never. They're using your own technique against you. Those hidden messages in your recent work, they're claiming you stole the idea from them, and they have backdated proof. A knock interrupted us. Marcus stood in the doorway, looking grim. "You should have answered my calls," he said. "Chloe's gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "She took Riley to your mother's, said something about protecting her from what's coming." The room tilted slightly. "My daughter is safe," Marcus said, "but Chloe's working with Jeremiah now, officially." Howard pushed a document across his desk. "The Hamilton show isn't just an exhibition. It's the launch of a new art investment fund. Your partner is listed as managing director. They're not just trying to stop you," Marcus added. "They're trying to erase you." My phone buzzed again. "Everly, this time. 911, someone broke into your studio. All your new work. Marley, it's gone." The floor seemed to drop away. Months of work, all my evidence woven into paintings. "There's still a way," Marcus said quietly. "Remember what we discussed about making sure Skylar never recovers?" "What's he talking about?" Howard asked. "He has proof of tax fraud," I said. "Enough to send Skylar to prison. Along with Jeremiah and half the art scene," Marcus added. "One anonymous tip." Howard studied me. "That would destroy more than careers, families, lives, including your daughter's family name." "But Skylar would finally pay," Marcus pressed. "Isn't that what you wanted?" I thought of Riley, of Chloe, of my mother's broken expression when she learned the truth, of my father's quiet gathering of evidence, choosing justice over vengeance. "No," I said, "not like this." "Then what's your play?" Howard asked. "They have everything. The venues, the narrative, your partner, your work." "Not everything." I pulled out my phone, dialing a number I'd memorized years ago. "They don't have the truth." "Who are you calling?" "The one person who can still reach Skylar. The one person who started all this with their constant comparisons and pressure." My mother answered on the first ring. "Marley, Riley's asking for you." "Mom," I cut her off. "I need your help. And this time you have to choose a side." Silence stretched between us. "Then, what do you need?" "Your confession. About how your favoritism drove Skylar to this. About everything you saw but ignored. Will you do it?" Another pause. "Yes," she said finally. "It's time." I looked at Howard. "Still have that contact at the Arts Journal?" He nodded slowly, understanding dawning. A mother's confession would be compelling. "More than compelling," Marcus said. "It would be devastating." My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Skylar. "Last chance to back down. Don't make me destroy everything you have left." I typed back 3 words. "Too late, sibling." The game wasn't over. It was just changing rules. The Hamilton Gallery hummed with opening night energy. Skylar's exhibition foiled the main space, while my hastily arranged response show occupied the smaller side gallery, a compromise Howard had negotiated at the last minute. I stood before my centerpiece, a triptych of dark canvases, each hiding dates and documents beneath layers of paint that would become visible under the right light. "They're here," Everly whispered, appearing at my side, all of them. Through the gathering crowd I spotted them. Jeremiah leading a group of investors, Chloe at his side looking uncomfortable, my mother near the entrance, clutching her prepared statement, Andrew hovering uncertainly between the 2 galleries, and finally, Skylar, moving through their admirers with practiced grace. "Ready?" Howard asked, finger hovering over the lighting controls. I nodded, and the gallery lights dimmed. UV lights activated, revealing the hidden elements in my paintings. Every piece of evidence, every manipulated competition, every stolen opportunity glowing in phosphorescent paint. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they realized what they were seeing. Skylar froze mid-conversation, face draining of color. "Ladies and gentlemen," Howard announced, "welcome to Truth in Shadow, a special exhibition about artistic integrity." My mother stepped forward, hands shaking as she unfolded her statement. But before she could speak, Jeremiah cut through the crowd. "This is a publicity stunt," he announced. "Ms. Marley here is under investigation for plagiarism." "Actually," my father's voice rang out as he emerged from the crowd, "the investigation has been dropped. The ethics committee received some very interesting evidence this morning. Chloe broke away from Jeremiah's side, moving toward me. Marley, I can explain. Not now, I said quietly. Watch. The central canvas began to shift under the UV light, revealing a hidden image, Skylar's signature technique, dated years before they claimed to have invented it. Proof they had stolen it from one of the artists they'd destroyed. That's impossible, Skylar breathed. Is it? I turned to face my sibling, like it was impossible for you to manipulate Andrew, to use Jeremiah's money to buy control of galleries, to convince Chloe that betraying me was for our daughter's good. I did what I had to do, Skylar snapped. You have no idea what it's like living in your shadow. My shadow, I laughed. While you were stealing opportunities, buying success, I was fighting for every scrap of recognition. The shadow was yours, built on lies and manipulation. Enough. Jeremiah moved to intervene, but Howard stepped forward. I wouldn't, he said. The Arts Journal livestream has been running since the doors opened. Everything's being broadcast. The crowd parted as my mother approached Skylar. I did this, she said, voice breaking. My favoritism, my pressure. I turned you into this. Mother, don't. The truth, Skylar. For once, something cracked in my siblings' carefully maintained facade. I just wanted to make you proud, they whispered. By destroying others, my father joined us. By hurting your own family. Family? Skylar gestured at the revealing paintings. Look what Marley's doing right now. I'm showing the truth, I said. Something you taught me, remember? Hidden messages in art? A small voice cut through the tension. Mama? Riley stood in the gallery entrance, having slipped away from our neighbor, Amy's supervision. She looked at the glowing paintings, then at her other mother. Chloe, I said softly. Take her home. No, Skylar interrupted. Let her stay. Let her see what her mother's revenge looks like. This isn't revenge, I said, meeting my siblings' eyes. It's justice. For every artist you destroyed, every dream you stole, the truth doesn't destroy people, Skylar. Lies do. The gallery erupted in camera flashes as reporters pushed forward, questions overlapping. But above the chaos, I heard Howard's quiet words. Check your phone. A message waited from an unknown number. Your work speaks truth to power. When you're ready to show it properly, the Venice Biennale has an opening. I looked up to find Skylar staring at me, their carefully constructed world crumbling around them. But in their eyes, beneath the anger and fear, I saw something else. Relief. The truth, finally exposed, had set us both free. The Venice sun painted my new studio in shades of gold as I added the final touches to my latest piece. A knock at the door made me pause, brush hovering over canvas. Still hiding in here? Everly asked, stepping inside. The water taxi's waiting. Riley's already bouncing with excitement about the opening. I studied my work. No hidden messages this time, just raw truth on canvas. Is everyone here? Your parents arrived this morning. Andrew's been pacing the gallery since dawn. Even Howard flew in from New York. She hesitated. And Skylar sent something. My hand tightened on the brush. What? A letter, and one of their early pieces. From before, everything. The painting sat wrapped in brown paper, propped against the wall. Beneath it lay a sealed envelope. Have you heard from Chloe? I asked, cleaning my brush. She's doing well in her new gallery. Riley loves visiting her there on weekends. Everly touched my shoulder. You made the right choice, letting her go. I know. And I did. Some betrayals couldn't be undone, but they could be forgiven. For Riley's sake, if nothing else. The letter felt heavy in my hands as I opened it. Dear Marley, I spent years trying to escape your shadow, only to cast a darker one. The truth you exposed didn't destroy me. It freed me. I'm starting over, teaching art to children. They see beauty without competition, creation without corruption. Maybe that's something I needed to learn. Skylar, I unwrapped the painting, a small piece from our college days, before ambition and jealousy poisoned everything. Two figures, faces turned toward a bright horizon. We should go, Everly said softly. They're waiting. The gallery buzzed with anticipation. My mother stood with my father near the entrance, her therapy-strengthened smile genuine as she hugged me. Andrew hovered nearby, his redemption found in mentoring young artists, warning them about the industry's darker sides. Ready? Howard asked, appearing at my elbow. I nodded, and he signaled the staff. The lights dimmed, but this time there were no hidden revelations, no accusations glowing in the dark. Instead, each canvas told a story of recovery, of truth's aftermath, of shadows transformed into light. Mama, look! Riley tugged my hand, pointing to a small painting near the end. Is that me? The piece showed a child's hands holding broken pieces of a mirror, each shard reflecting something different: family, art, truth, forgiveness. I'd painted it the day Chloe and I signed our divorce papers. You inspired it, I told her. You showed me how to see clearly. Speaking of seeing clearly, my father approached, holding another envelope. This came for you, and inside was a single sheet of paper, a list of names, and contact information. Artists Skylar had sabotaged over the years. Each one now offered a chance at redemption through Howard's new foundation. Your sibling provided the list, my father said, and the funding. And Jeremiah, facing charges for investment fraud. Turns out your exposure inspired quite a few whistleblowers. The gallery filled with critics, collectors, and artists. Some familiar, some new. No hidden agendas, no secret competitions. Just art, honest and raw. My mother touched my arm. I've been thinking about shadows lately, she said. How we cast them without realizing. How they distort everything they touch. I'm sorry I couldn't see clearly before. We all cast shadows, I replied. The trick is learning to paint with them. Later, as the evening wound down, I found Skylar's painting again. Those two figures, facing the horizon, not running from shadows, but walking toward light. A new message appeared on my phone. Some truths take time to understand. Thank you for showing me mine. S. I looked around the gallery, at my daughters sketching in a corner, my parents talking with Howard, Everly arranging my next showing. The shadows were still there, but they didn't dominate anymore. They were just another color on the palette. Another layer of depth in the greater picture. I picked up my brush again. There were more stories to tell, more truths to paint, but this time I'd create them in full light, letting the shadows fall where they may.
The crystal champagne flute shattered in my hand, sending shards across the marble floor of my brother's new mansion. Blood trickled down my palm, but I barely noticed. My eyes were fixed on Jessica's face as she announced her pregnancy to our stunned family gathering. I'm Maya, and I know when someone is lying. 15 years of raising 3 boys has given me a sixth sense about deception. The way Jessica's fingers twitched against her designer dress, how her smile never quite reached her eyes. Everything screamed false. Congratulations! Mark, my husband, stepped forward to hug Alex while shooting me a warning glance. He knew my tells too. The slight tilt of my head, the way I pressed my lips together, signs I was about to say something I shouldn't. This calls for more champagne, Alex declared, beaming with pride. My brother, the successful tech entrepreneur, finally getting everything he wanted. A baby to complete his perfect life. Tyler, my middle son, appeared at my side with a napkin. Mom, you're bleeding. His quiet voice anchored me back to reality. I wrapped the cloth around my palm, watching the red bloom through the white fabric. When are you due? I asked Jessica, keeping my voice light. She hesitated for a fraction too long. March, she said, one hand resting protectively over her still flat stomach. Wrong move. I'd been pregnant 3 times. No woman that early touches her stomach that way unless she's acting. Ryan, my eldest, was watching the exchange with narrowed eyes. At 18, he had inherited my bullshit detector. Lucas, my youngest, had already retreated to a corner with his phone, typical 14-year-old behavior. We should toast, Mark announced, trying to diffuse the tension crackling through the room. To Alex and Jessica's growing family. Everyone raised their glasses except me. I was too busy watching Jessica's face as she pretended to sip her champagne. The glass never touched her lips. Actually, Alex cleared his throat. We have another announcement. He glanced at Jessica, who gave him an encouraging nod. We've been thinking about adoption, too. Having a bigger family, maybe? The room went silent. I felt Mark's hand squeeze my shoulder. We thought, Jessica continued, her voice honey-sweet, that since you have 3 wonderful boys, Maya... She let the sentence hang there, heavy with implication. The cut on my palm throbbed. What exactly are you suggesting? Nothing concrete, Alex jumped in. Just floating the idea. Ryan's heading to college soon, and we have so much space here. Stop. The word came out sharper than I intended. Just stop right there. Maya, Mark warned softly. But I was already moving toward Jessica, who took an involuntary step back. First a miracle pregnancy, now you want one of my sons? What's your game? I don't know what you mean, Jessica's voice wavered. We just want to share our blessings. Bullshit. The word echoed through the massive living room. You've barely spoken 10 words to my boys in the 2 years you've been with Alex. Now suddenly you want to play mom? That's enough. Alex stepped between us, his face flushed. You're out of line, Maya. Am I? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The dark circles under his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. What's really going on here, Alex? Before he could answer, Jessica suddenly pressed a hand to her mouth and rushed from the room, the perfect excuse to end the conversation. I should check on her, Alex muttered, following his wife. Mark came up behind me, wrapping an arm around my waist. Well, that was quite a party. I watched my 3 sons huddled together, whispering. Ryan's protective stance, Tyler's concerned frown, Lucas's defiant glare. My boys. My family. Something's not right, I said quietly, and I'm going to find out what it is. Just don't do anything rash, Mark replied, but we both knew it was too late for that warning. The game was already in motion, and I intended to win. 3 days after the disastrous pregnancy announcement, I stood in Alex's empty kitchen, staring at the prescription bottle I'd found hidden behind the coffee maker. The label had been partially scratched off, but I could make out enough to know these weren't vitamins. Looking for something? Jessica's voice made me jump. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me with those calculating eyes. I held up the bottle. Fertility medications, interesting place to keep them. You shouldn't snoop through other people's things. Her voice was steady, but her fingers dug into her arms. And you shouldn't lie about being pregnant to my brother. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. From the living room, I could hear Mark and Alex laughing about something, the sound jarring against our tension. You don't understand, Jessica finally said. Alex needs this. Needs what? A fake pregnancy? Or one of my children? She moved closer, lowering her voice. He's sick, Maya. Really sick. The doctors gave him 6 months, maybe less. The bottle nearly slipped from my hand. You're lying. Am I? Why do you think he's so desperate for an heir? For family? Her perfect mask cracked slightly. He won't tell you because he can't stand the idea of you pitying him. If this is another manipulation, Ryan already knows. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Your perfect eldest son has been spending time with us, helping Alex get his affairs in order. He understands what's at stake. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. Coming over to Uncle Alex's, need to talk to you. You stay away from my son, I hissed, but Jessica just smiled. He came to us, Maya, because he sees the bigger picture, the legacy Alex could leave him, the opportunities. The front door opened and Ryan's voice carried through the house. Mom? In here, I called, not taking my eyes off Jessica. Ryan entered the kitchen, freezing when he saw us. At 18, he looked so much like Alex at that age, the same determined jaw, the same ambitious glint in his eyes. I see you two are talking, he said carefully. Your aunt was just explaining how you've been helping Uncle Alex. The words tasted bitter. Behind my back. Mom, don't. I held up my hand. Just tell me if it's true, about Alex being sick. Ryan's silence was answer enough. Jessica slipped past us, pausing at the door. I'll give you two a moment. Once she was gone, Ryan slumped against the counter. I wanted to tell you, but Uncle Alex made me promise. How long have you known? 2 months. He collapsed during one of our lunch meetings. I drove him to the hospital. The bottle in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And the adoption idea? Was that yours or hers? His. He wants to make sure his company stays in the family. Jessica, she just wants what's best for him. I laughed, harsh and hollow. Best for him or best for her? Why do you hate her so much? Because she's lying about something. I can feel it. I set the bottle down carefully. And now she's using you to manipulate this situation. Nobody's using me. Ryan straightened, looking more like his uncle than ever. I'm making my own choices. Are you? Or are you just seeing dollar signs and opportunities? The moment the words left my mouth, I knew I'd gone too far. Ryan's face hardened. You don't get to judge me, not when you've spent years telling us to look out for family. Well, Uncle Alex's family too. He stormed out, leaving me alone with the damning evidence of Jessica's deception and the weight of too many secrets. Mark appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Ryan just left looking pretty upset. I picked up the fertility medication bottle and handed it to him. We need to talk about Alex, Jessica, and what they're really planning for our family. His eyes widened as he read the label, then looked at me. What do you want to do? First, I'm going to find out exactly what kind of game Jessica's playing. Then, I took the bottle back, clutching it tight. I'm going to make sure she loses. The private investigator's file landed on my kitchen table with a dull thud. Jessica Mitchell doesn't exist, he said, at least not before 2019. I flipped through the documents, each page revealing another lie. What was her name before? Sarah Winters, then Rachel Cooper, then Elizabeth James. He tapped different photos, showing the same face under different names. She's got a pattern. Wealthy men, short marriages, generous divorces. My coffee went cold as I absorbed the implications. 3 previous marriages, each ending with substantial settlements. Each husband mysteriously ill during the divorce proceedings. My phone buzzed. Tyler. Mom, something's wrong with Uncle Alex. At hospital, come quick. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights and racing thoughts. I found Tyler in the waiting room, his usual calm demeanor cracked. He collapsed during lunch with Ryan, he said. They won't tell us anything because we're not immediate family. Jessica's in there with him. Where's your brother? Ryan's, with her. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I spotted them down the hall, Jessica and Ryan heads bent together in conversation. The sight of my son standing so close to her, nodding at whatever poison she was whispering, made my hands shake. Mrs. Wilson? A doctor approached, chart in hand. Your brother's asking for you. Alex looked small in the hospital bed, tubes snaking from his arms. Hey, sis. He managed a weak smile. Sorry for the drama. Cut the bullshit, I said, closing the door. I know about Jessica's other husbands. His face didn't register surprise, just resignation. How long have you known? Long enough. The question is, how long have you known? He closed his eyes. Since before the wedding. I hired someone to investigate her past after I found some inconsistencies in her story. And you married her anyway? Because I loved her. Love her. He coughed, harsh and wet, and because by then the cancer was already stage 4. The truth hit like a physical blow. You're not just sick, you're dying. 6 months was optimistic. It's spreading faster than they thought. His hand trembled as he reached for water. Jessica knows everything. About her past, about my prognosis. We made a deal. A deal. She stays, plays the grieving widow, gets her settlement. In exchange, she helps secure Ryan's future in the company. My blood ran cold. You're using my son as a pawn? I'm securing his future, my legacy. Alex's voice strengthened with conviction. Ryan has the drive, the intelligence, with Jessica's guidance. Her manipulation, you mean? I leaned closer. She's done this before, Alex. 3 times. And each husband died under suspicious circumstances during divorce proceedings. He waved off my concern. Those were different. She loves me. Like she loved the others? Did you even check how they died? A nurse knocked, entering with medication. I stepped back, watching Jessica slip in behind her, Ryan hovering in the doorway. Everything okay in here? Jessica's voice dripped concern, but her eyes were sharp. Just fine, I replied, matching her tone. Alex was telling me about your arrangement. Something flickered across her perfect mask. Fear? Anger? She recovered quickly, moving to Alex's side. Darling, you should rest. Mom, Ryan started, but I cut him off. Not now. I headed for the door, pausing beside my son. We'll talk about this at home. In the hallway, Tyler waited with Lucas, who had finally arrived. Is Uncle Alex okay? I looked at my younger sons, untouched by Jessica's influence, and made a decision. No, he's not, and neither is your brother. What do you mean? Lucas asked. Through the window, I watched Jessica adjust Alex's pillows, playing the devoted wife while Ryan looked on admiringly. The perfect picture of family devotion, except I'd seen the autopsy reports of her previous husbands. All three had died from seemingly natural causes, their symptoms matching Alex's current condition perfectly. It means, I said, pulling my sons close, that we're going to save your uncle and your brother, whether they want to be saved or not. How? Tyler asked. I thought of the private investigator's file, of Jessica's pattern, of my son being drawn into her web. By destroying Jessica before she can destroy our family. The boys exchanged worried looks, but I was already planning my next move. Sometimes, to protect the ones you love, you have to embrace the darkness they're too naive to see. The toxicology report sat unopened on my laptop screen for 20 minutes before I found the courage to click. 3 previous husbands, 3 similar patterns of declining health. Trace amounts of thallium found during the final autopsy of husband number 2, dismissed as environmental exposure. My phone lit up with a text from Ryan. Meeting Jessica for lunch to discuss Uncle Alex's treatment options. Don't try to stop me. I closed the laptop and grabbed my keys, but Mark blocked the doorway. Before you go charging in there, we need to talk. She's poisoning my brother, Mark, and our son is walking right into her web. I know. He held up a manila envelope. The private investigator found something else, about Ryan. Inside were photos. Ryan and Jessica at various restaurants, coffee shops, his hand on her arm, her fingers brushing his shoulder. The timestamps went back months, long before Alex's diagnosis. It gets worse, Mark said quietly. Check the bank statements. $10,000 transferred from Jessica's personal account to a new account in Ryan's name. The date matched Alex's first hospital admission. My hands shook as I dialed Ryan's number. Straight to voicemail. He's not at lunch with Jessica, Tyler said from the stairs, making me jump. He's at the hospital with Uncle Alex. I just got off the phone with Lucas. He's there too. Why didn't they tell me? Tyler's face darkened. Because Jessica convinced them you're trying to sabotage Uncle Alex's recovery. She showed them emails supposedly from you to his board of directors, trying to have him declared mentally unfit. Those are fake. I know, Mom. That's why I hacked her laptop. Mark and I stared at our middle son, who shrugged. What? Someone had to do something while you were playing detective. He pulled out his phone, showing us screenshots. She's been planning this for over a year. The adoption idea? That was Ryan's suggestion, not Uncle Alex's. He and Jessica, they've been having an affair, I finished, the words tasting like ash. Not exactly. Tyler scrolled through more messages. She promised to make him CEO after Uncle Alex dies. Said she could convince the board if Ryan played along with her plan. Mark cursed under his breath. She's manipulating both brothers. 3, Tyler corrected. Lucas is involved too. She's been helping him apply to private schools behind your back, promising to pay his tuition if he supports her story about your mental state. The room spun slightly. I gripped the counter, trying to process the layers of betrayal. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Your brother's condition is deteriorating. Shame about the mix-up with his medication. But then, accidents happen when family members interfere with treatment plans. Mom, Tyler's voice seemed far away. What are we going to do? I looked at the photos again. My eldest son, my dying brother, my youngest being pulled into Jessica's elaborate scheme, each of them thinking they were getting what they wanted, none seeing the poison she was feeding them all. We're going to give her exactly what she wants, I said finally. Mark's eyebrows shot up. You can't be serious. Tyler, can you get into her banking records? He nodded slowly. Already have. She's got offshore accounts under her previous names. Good, because we're going to help her kill my brother. What? Both Mark and Tyler exclaimed. I picked up the toxicology report. She's careful, patient. Each death looked natural because she took her time. But if Alex dies too quickly, with too much poison in his system, the police will investigate, Tyler finished, understanding dawning on his face. And when they do, they'll find the evidence of her previous murders, along with proof that she's been manipulating my children. I turned to Mark. Unless you have a better idea? He studied my face for a long moment. You're talking about letting your brother die to catch her. I'm talking about sacrificing one life to save three. My voice cracked. Because if we don't stop her now, Ryan will spend years under her control. Lucas will be trapped in her web, and who knows how many other families she'll destroy. Tyler's phone chimed. Ryan's texting. Uncle Alex is asking for you. Says it's urgent. I grabbed my keys again, this time with purpose. Time to give Jessica her final performance. You two know what to do. As I drove to the hospital, I tried not to think about how revenge had twisted me into someone who could plot her own brother's death. But sometimes, fighting monsters means becoming one yourself. The family dinner felt like sitting on a powder keg. Alex barely touched his food, while Jessica kept refilling his wine glass with practiced care. Ryan sat at her right hand, playing the devoted nephew, while Lucas sulked at the far end of the table. Only Tyler watched everything with the same calculating gaze I'd come to rely on. The doctors are very optimistic, Jessica announced, her hand resting possessively on Alex's shoulder. The new treatment protocol is showing promise. Which doctors? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The ones who prescribed the medication I found in your drawer? The crystal wine glass in Jessica's hand trembled slightly. I don't know what you're implying. Mom, Ryan warned, but I was done playing nice. 3 previous husbands, Jessica, all dead within 2 years of marriage, all with similar symptoms to Alex's current condition. The silence that followed was deafening. Alex's fork clattered against his plate. That's ridiculous, Jessica laughed, but her eyes were sharp as razors. Ryan, tell your mother she's being paranoid. Ryan cleared his throat. Mom's been under a lot of stress lately. Maybe we should show them the transfer records. I cut in. The ones proving she's been paying you to support her story. The color drained from Ryan's face. Lucas sat up straighter, suddenly interested. What transfer records? Alex's voice was barely a whisper. Jessica stood abruptly, wine sloshing over the rim of her glass. I won't sit here and listen to these accusations. Alex needs rest, not this toxic environment. Sit down. Tyler's command surprised everyone. He pulled out his phone, sliding it across the table to Alex. Everything's there. The offshore accounts, the previous marriages, the suspicious deaths, and the messages between Ryan and Jessica planning how to manipulate you. Ryan lunged for the phone, but Mark caught his arm. Don't, my husband said quietly. It's time for truth. Alex scrolled through the evidence, his hands shaking. Ryan, is this true? Uncle Alex, I can explain. He was trying to protect your legacy. Jessica interrupted smoothly. Unlike some people who only want to tear this family apart. By sleeping with my nephew? The words hung in the air like poison. Jessica's mask cracked. We never... The hotel receipts suggest otherwise, Tyler said, his voice cold. Lucas stood up so suddenly his chair toppled backward. You promised me a future. You said if I helped you, you'd make sure I got into Westbrook Academy. Lucas, quiet, Ryan snapped, but the damage was done. All this time, Alex whispered, while I was planning our future, planning to give you everything, I did it for us. Jessica reached for him, but he recoiled. Everything I did was to secure our position, our legacy. By poisoning me, like the others? She froze. What others? The toxicology reports, I said quietly. From husband number 2. Thallium poisoning is pretty distinctive. Jessica's composure shattered. She grabbed her wine glass and hurled it at me, but Tyler was faster, pulling me aside. The glass shattered against the wall, leaving a blood-red stain. You've ruined everything, she screamed, advancing toward me. I had it all planned perfectly. Mom, stop her, Lucas yelled, but Ryan was already moving, putting himself between Jessica and me. Don't, he said, his voice breaking. It's over. The look she gave him could have frozen hell. You ungrateful little... Alex's coughing fit interrupted her tirade. He doubled over, gasping for breath, blood speckling his napkin. "Call an ambulance," Mark shouted, rushing to Alex's side. Jessica used the chaos to bolt for the door, but I was ready. As she passed, I grabbed her arm, spinning her around. "You're not going anywhere." Her laugh was hollow. "You think you've won. Look at your family, Maya. Look what your precious truth has done. Ryan's future is ruined. Lucas's dreams are shattered. And Alex?" She glanced at my brother's convulsing form. "Well, the damage is already done. I made sure of that this morning." She twisted free and ran, leaving me torn between pursuing her and helping Alex. The sound of sirens grew closer as I watched my family fracture before my eyes. Ryan knelt beside his uncle, tears streaming down his face. Lucas huddled in a corner while Tyler called the police. Mark caught my eye across the chaos, and I saw my own horror reflected there. We'd exposed the truth, but at what cost? And somewhere out there, Jessica was escaping with all our secrets, all our weaknesses, and nothing left to lose. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly before me as I followed the trail of blood drops, tiny crimson breadcrumbs leading to my brother's room. Alex had collapsed again during his attempted escape, proving Jessica's morning dosage had been particularly lethal. "He's asking for you," the nurse said, but her expression suggested I shouldn't expect much time. Inside, machines beeped in irregular rhythm. Tyler sat in the corner, laptop open, frantically tracking Jessica's financial movements. Mark stood guard at the door while Ryan paced like a caged animal. "Where's Lucas?" I asked. "Gone," Ryan spat, following Jessica's breadcrumbs about some private school connection. "He won't answer his phone." Alex's hand trembled as he reached for me. "The safe," he whispered, "behind the Kandinsky in my study. Everything you need." His monitors screamed. Medical staff flooded the room, pushing us out. Through the chaos, I caught Ryan slipping something into his pocket, a piece of paper from Alex's bedside table. "What did you take?" He met my gaze with Jessica's same cold calculation. "Insurance." "Against what?" "Against you destroying everything Uncle Alex built." He backed away. "You think you're protecting this family? You're tearing it apart." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. The text contained only an address and 4 words. "Lucas says hello, sister dear." Tyler looked up from his laptop. "Mom, Jessica just emptied all of Alex's accounts. Every penny gone." The doctor emerged, his face grave. "We've stabilized him, but the toxicology report shows massive organ failure. Whatever he was given will kill him," I finished. "That's the point." My phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Lucas sitting in what looked like a private school office. Jessica's manicured hand visible on his shoulder. "She's at Westbrook Academy," Tyler said, already pulling up the location. "But Mom, there's something else. The school's financial director, he was married to Jessica's first victim." The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. "She's not running. This was her plan all along. Get Alex's money, take Lucas, destroy what's left of our family." "Ryan!" Mark's shout made us turn. Our eldest son was sprinting down the corridor, Alex's paper clutched in his hand. "Let him go," I said, watching him disappear. "He's made his choice." "What now?" Tyler asked. "Now?" I pulled out my car keys. "Now we finish this. Mark, stay with Alex. Tyler, I need everything you can find on Westbrook Academy and Jessica's connection to it, and call the police. Tell them where to find her." "Mom," Tyler's voice cracked slightly. "What if we're too late? What if Lucas—" "Don't." The word came out sharper than intended. "Your brother's not the only one she's trying to destroy. This is about legacy, about family. She's taken my brother, corrupted Ryan, and now she's using Lucas to complete her revenge." "Revenge for what?" "For being the family she could never have." The realization hit me as I said it. Every husband, every manipulation. She's been trying to create the perfect family, then destroying it when it proves imperfect. My phone buzzed one final time. A video. Lucas staring into the camera, tears streaming down his face. "Mom, I'm sorry. She says if you don't bring Alex's new will to Westbrook within the hour, she'll make sure Ryan takes the fall for everything. The affairs, the poison, all of it. She has proof." The screen went black. Tyler's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Mom, the police are on their way, but..." But they won't make it in time. I checked my watch. How long can you keep Alex stable? Mark's face darkened. You can't be serious. Jessica wants to destroy our family? Fine, let's give her what she wants. I pulled out my own copy of Alex's will, the one she didn't know about. But this time, we play by my rules. Maya. Mark grabbed my arm. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about survival. No, I said, shaking him off. This is about justice. For Alex, for her other husbands, for our sons. I headed for the door. Sometimes the only way to protect your family is to be willing to lose them. Behind me, the monitors tracking Alex's heartbeat grew fainter, like a countdown to what was coming. I had less than an hour to save one son, stop another from destroying himself, and prevent a murderer from completing her masterpiece of destruction. And somewhere in the gathering darkness, Jessica waited, thinking she'd finally won. She had no idea what a mother protecting her children was capable of. It was time to show her. Westbrook Academy's empty hallways echoed with my footsteps as I approached the headmaster's office. Through the frosted glass, I could make out 3 silhouettes: Jessica, Lucas, and Ryan. Of course, Ryan would be here. He'd chosen his side. Right on time, Jessica called out as I entered. She sat behind the headmaster's desk like she belonged there, Lucas rigid beside her, Ryan leaning against the window with Alex's papers clutched in his hand. Where's the real headmaster? I asked, though I already knew. Indisposed. Food poisoning, such a shame. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The will? I placed a manila envelope on the desk. First, let Lucas go. Mom, Lucas's voice cracked. I'm sorry, I thought... Quiet, Jessica snapped. Ryan, verify the documents. As Ryan reached for the envelope, I noticed something odd about his stance. The slight tremor in his hands, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes. He was scared. It's fake, he said after scanning the papers. This isn't Uncle Alex's signature. Jessica's facade cracked slightly. Where's the real will? With the police. Tyler's voice came from my phone in my pocket on speaker, along with the evidence from your previous husband's deaths. They're on their way. You're bluffing. But Jessica's hand slipped into her desk drawer. The headmaster didn't have food poisoning, did he? I took a step forward. He recognized you from your first husband's case. That's why you needed him gone. Mom, Ryan warned, but I kept going. 3 husbands, 3 schools, 3 destroyed families. Always targeting men with sons, always playing the perfect stepmother, until they discovered the truth. Jessica pulled out a syringe, grabbing Lucas. Stay back. That's thallium in there, isn't it? Same thing you gave Alex this morning. Ryan's been helping you administer it for weeks, hasn't he? Lucas struggled, but Jessica held firm. Ryan moved toward them, his face unreadable. You don't understand. Jessica's voice shook. I gave them everything. Every husband, every family. I tried to be perfect, to create something lasting, but they always chose their blood relatives over me. Always. So you killed them? I set them free, and I gave their sons better opportunities, better futures, by manipulating them, by destroying their families, by saving them from mothers like you. She pressed the syringe against Lucas's neck. So protective, so righteous, but you're suffocating them. Ryan understands. Don't you, Ryan? But Ryan wasn't looking at Jessica anymore. He was looking at his phone, at the text I knew Tyler had just sent him. Proof that Jessica had already transferred Alex's money to an account in her name alone, leaving Ryan with nothing. You promised, he whispered. You said we'd build something together, that I'd inherit. Oh, grow up, Jessica spat. You were just like the others, so desperate for approval, so easy to mold. The syringe trembled against Lucas's skin. One push, and my youngest would suffer the same slow death as Alex. Mom, Lucas whimpered, and in that moment I saw my opening. Jessica, I said softly, there's something you should know about the will. She hesitated. What? Alex changed it last week, left everything to you, no conditions, it's in his safe at home. You're lying. Check your phone. Tyler just sent you the proof. As she reached for her phone with her free hand, Ryan moved. In one fluid motion, he grabbed the syringe and pulled Lucas away. Jessica lunged forward, but I was ready. The punch connected with her jaw, sending her sprawling across the desk. That's for my brother. I said as she struggled to rise. And this, I grabbed her hair, slamming her head against the wood, is for my sons. Sirens wailed in the distance. Ryan held Lucas as he sobbed, the syringe safely out of reach. Mom, Ryan's voice broke. I didn't know. I know. I kept Jessica pinned as footsteps thundered down the hallway. We'll talk about it later. As the police burst in, Jessica started laughing. You think this is over? Your precious family is already destroyed. Look at them. The trust broken, the bonds shattered. I've already won. I leaned close as they handcuffed her. No, Jessica. You just taught my sons what real family looks like. It's not perfect. It's not even always good. But we protect our own, even from themselves. The police led her away, her laughter echoing through the halls like a dying curse. My sons stood together, broken but alive, and I realized that sometimes victory looks a lot like survival. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked Alex's front door. His house still smelled like him, coffee and expensive cologne, but the silence was deafening. The doctors had given him days, maybe hours. Jessica's final dose had done its work. Ryan stood in the doorway of the study, watching me gather Alex's papers. The police want my statement tomorrow. Tell them the truth. I pulled open the safe behind the Kandinsky. All of it. Even about helping her poison him? My hands stilled on the documents. Especially that. Lucas appeared in the doorway, his face tight. They found more victims. 7 husbands, not 3. Different names, different cities. 8, Tyler corrected, joining us with his laptop. Just found another one from 2015. She was getting better at hiding them. The safe's contents spread across Alex's desk like a roadmap of destruction. Bank statements, property deeds, and a letter addressed to me in my brother's shaking handwriting. I knew, I read aloud, about Jessica, about Ryan, about everything. But I thought I could protect them both. Forgive me, little sister. Some legacies aren't worth preserving. Ryan made a choked sound and left the room. Lucas followed, but Tyler lingered. The money's gone, he said quietly. She transferred everything before we caught her. Even with the evidence, it'll take years to recover. I closed the safe. We don't need it. But Uncle Alex wanted family. Real family. Not whatever twisted version Jessica sold him. The front door opened, and Mark's footsteps echoed through the house. Maya? The hospital called. I nodded, unable to speak. We all knew what that meant. There's something else, Mark continued. They found this in Jessica's cell. He held out a crumpled note. The handwriting was elegant, controlled. You think you've won, sister dear? Look closer at your precious family. Ryan wasn't the only one I taught my tricks to. Some poisons take years to surface. Some betrayals never heal. Sweet dreams. Lucas appeared behind me, reading over my shoulder. His face went pale. She's lying, he whispered. I wouldn't. But I saw the guilt in his eyes, remembered the strange illnesses that plagued his brothers over the past year. Small doses, experimental ones. Jessica's teaching methods were thorough. Mom? Tyler's voice cracked. I burned the note in Alex's fancy fireplace, watching Jessica's final attempt at destruction turn to ash. We start over, I said. All of us. No more secrets, no more poison, metaphorical or otherwise. How? Ryan had returned, hovering in the doorway like a ghost. After everything I did, we rebuild, one truth at a time. I turned to Lucas, starting with what Jessica taught you. He broke down then, confessing everything, the small doses, the experiments, the way she made it seem like a game. Tyler held his younger brother while he sobbed, his own tears falling silently. Mark touched my shoulder. Alex is asking for all of us. The drive to the hospital was silent. In the ICU, Alex barely had strength to smile, but his eyes were clear. Did you find it? He whispered. In the safe? I showed him Jessica's note. She tried one last time. Always. Had to have the last word. His laugh turned into a cough. Ryan? Our eldest son stepped forward, tears streaming. I'm sorry, Uncle Alex. You thought you could save everyone. Just like your mother. Alex's hand found mine. The real legacy isn't in the safe. It's in them, even the broken parts. His monitors began to slow. Promise me, he managed. No more revenge, only healing. I looked at my sons, Ryan's guilt, Tyler's quiet strength, Lucas's desperate need for redemption. The poisons in our family ran deeper than Jessica's chemicals, but maybe that's what made us stronger. We knew our darkness, could face it together. I promise, I whispered, but Alex was already gone. Later, standing in his empty study, I found one last note in the safe, written years ago. Family is the hardest poison to swallow, and the only antidote that matters. I left it there, locked away with the rest of our secrets. Some legacies are meant to be buried, while others, the ones written in blood and tears and forgiveness, those are the ones worth preserving, even if they leave scars, especially if they leave scars.